United finally cracked the code at Stadium MK, battling back to come away with a valuable point and continue our now 10-game unbeaten run. Is this the beginning of a new pattern even Bletchley Park would be proud of, or will consistency continue to remain an enigma? Welcome along to Under the Abbey Stand. It's the review show. We're reviewing a trip to Milton Keynes, and it gives me great pleasure to say we're not reviewing a defeat for once. I've got a panel to help me do that. Tom Walker, did you enjoy your day out in Milton Keynes?
Sort of, yeah. Enjoyed the point, enjoyed parts of the performance, but yeah, Milton Keynes doesn't do it for me. To be honest, isn't quite butter my parsnips. To be fair,
the Papa John's in the stadium, not even an offering that appeals to you.
I'd have been well up for that, but you couldn't get to it from the away end.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, it's just in the home end, isn't it? We had a pretty bad burger though, didn't we?
Oh yeah, big time. Yeah. Hidden away in the top tier. Quite impressive, to be fair, to build like an entire tier, which is not only not used, but is basically just used for, or not holding people. It's basically just a big kiosk to sell. I mean, there's no chance it was beef. There's actually no chance it was beef.
It's hard to even sort of consider it as edible, really, to be honest. And then we got told off. We were just eating our burgers in peace watching the game at the back of the stand. We got told off and told we had to eat our burger in our seats, like we were free drinking 3 pints of Stella or something up there and causing a ruckus. Absolute disgrace.
Yeah, I know. I mean, it's like you sold these us. We're not whacked out something illicit. It's a burger that you've sold. We can eat it wherever we want, arguably. A transaction has been done thousands of times in football grounds up and down the country, but yeah, they do it differently in MK. Fair credit to them.
They do, don't they, Caspell? Did you enjoy your day out?
Oh, lovely, mate. Yeah, you couldn't find any skepastis in the way, and I'm guessing.
No skepastis, but I think you've done the Milton Keynes sightseeing tour before, haven't you? So you didn't need to do it yesterday. Yeah. And the cathedral tour, that's next time.
Cathedral, next time. Also
we'll
did the art galleries this time.
Of course.
All the Michelin star restaurants.
Yeah.
Just a hotbed of culture, isn't it?
We didn't get a chance to visit the world famous Wetherspoons. That's just called Wetherspoons.
Mate, say what you see.
Say what you see. But it was a good day out. I mean, it was rare to be coming away from Stadium MK with a point, or not a pretty chastening defeat behind us. Let's sort of review it as a whole. It's a bit of an age-old question, but I think it kind of applies here, Tom. 2 dropped, 1 gained.
It's a tough one. I think, like in the context of the way the game was going, you're a goal down away at MK with like an hour on the clock ish. MK obviously well fancied this season and for good reason. Like, they've got a really good squad available to them, but so I guess in that sense, to come back and battle back into the game and take something from it is 1 gained. But I think on the balance of play and the eye test for MK, I think we probably did enough to win the game in terms of the chances that we created, particularly in the first half. So yeah, I think you look at it as maybe a bit of a missed opportunity. And again, it's all about context, really, particularly with regards to the Chesterfield game on Tuesday night. And if we clear that corner or that situation at the end, and we walk out of that with 3 points, you'd be delighted with the point yesterday. As it is, you kind of feel a little bit shortchanged. We've come away with 2 points from 2 games where probably we've deserved the minimum of a 4, and maybe could have shaded it with 6 with a win at MK. So. Yeah, I've not really answered your question there, to be fair. I've just sort of skirted around it. But basically, I think in the situation of the game that we found ourselves in, decent point, fair credit for battling back. But yeah, can't help but feel we've left a couple of points on the table there, because I think they were there to be got at.
Yeah, I'd agree with that. I think it's maybe one of those where, depending on which period you're looking at, maybe the answer slightly changes. So if you're looking at it from like a month or 2 ago, when we started looking ahead towards this kind of busy Christmas period and this run of games, which even pre-season you knew was going to be tricky, you'd probably look at it and go, well, that's a pretty good point. But you're right, with the context of just Tuesday and like the way we started this run, to come out of those 2 games with just 2 points, it's a bit of a different thing. It's a bit of a missed opportunity. But Caspell, maybe this is maybe ultra positive, but I'm kind of treating it as a positive that we're even having this conversation, because it was kind of agreed that this was going to be one of the harder fixtures on the slate, and like Chesterfield and MK, the two pre-season favourites, to come out of it and not like unreasonably think, well, we quite easily could have won both those games. We finally sort of started creating so many chances in a way that a month ago was definitely our biggest issue. We always knew we were solid defensively. Even when we had strikers fit, we weren't really putting loads on a plate for them. And now it's like that sort of situation. Not the defensive side, we're still pretty solid there, but the attacking sort of focus on creativity has kind of changed a little bit because we're creating the chances, but we're just not converting them. So I guess what I'm asking is, does the situation, the fact that we feel it's quite legitimately potentially two dropped at MK, actually a bit of a positive to the performance level we're providing?
Yeah, I think it's a really big positive, to be honest. Feels like in the last, probably ever since that Barrow game, expectations are just starting to rise. Obviously, I keep joking at myself because me and George did the pre-Barrow preview. It's just after CUFC got injured, and I was like, that's it. Season's fucked. I was like, we'll get dumped out both cups and we'll be 18th at the end of this run of games. So I'm beginning to look fairly egg on face, which is great. It's exactly what I want, to be honest. So it's good for everybody, obviously. I think it is a positive. Like, we've dropped 2 points somewhere this week, haven't we? Do you know what I mean? Like, somewhere we're a couple of points short of where we should have been. I think it's great we're being more creative. It's the big thing that there's one more big thing we're missing, which I know we'll get onto. We're kind of, we've moved the problem a little bit further down the funnel, as we'd say in marketing. So where we had no creativity before and therefore couldn't create chances to score any goals, now we're creating a lot of chances, or a good amount of chances, and we're still not scoring many goals. I mean, it's quite telling. Our second half XG is 0.03, which also tells you how good Kai's goal is, by the way.
Wow, really? I actually hadn't got that.
Yeah. So second half, no XG to talk about, despite obviously chasing the game, which is a bit upside down. So actually our better chances were all in the first half, which you might say is problematic, but really it's like you'd have to really be trying to dig around for criticism, I think, to come away from that game yesterday. Bear in mind, a ground we've never yielded a single point at before. And
never scored a meaningful goal at, by the way.
We did, and it got fucking chalked.
Oh, sure. Yeah, good point. Yeah.
then we got an apology from the FA. It's like, that's great, but we are getting relegated. So if we could just get those points back. No, I know what you mean. Look, we always travel in good numbers up to MK. It's never been, it's never been a good experience. All the jokes about the city aside. So to go there and have a bit of a positive feeling is good. And I think just, again, I mean, Harris touched on it in the post-match. We've played this week two of the sort of most moneyed, fancied clubs in the division, and we feel like we could have beaten both of them. It's given me a huge amount of optimism for these games coming up. I do think we've got to be really careful this Accrington game.
Yeah, 100%.
Everyone's looking at this block of games and just like, we'll beat Accrington. It's like, just, easy,
That's not what happens in League Two, is it? Like, you've got to go into that with like the absolute fear of God in you, because that's like the sort of game that you trip up, and then you look at Gillingham, Chesterfield away, Walsall at home, and you're like, oh, hang on. Like, Sunday, where are we getting a win from?
It's exactly that. So they've got to be really on it in that Accrington game. Nothing is given to us, obviously, but I feel like Harris will have them well prepared. And to be honest, I quite actually, obviously, we've joked a bit about his post-match interviews because they can be quite, quite a lot of hyperbole, I guess, is how we might describe it. But he felt quite realistic this time. The club tossed him up a fairly easy question about how we should be pleased with the performance, similar to your question here. And he sort of batted it back and was like, well, no, not really. Like, I feel like we could have won this one. I feel like we should have won on Tuesday. So he was quite, he's always a bit spiky, but he was spiky in a good way this time, I think, because you can tell he's trying to raise his standards. And to be honest, you guys covered it really well on the preview. I just think he deserves, and the backroom staff deserve, a huge amount of credit for solving this puzzle, because we are just a lot more creative. To be honest, better to watch. Like,
big time.
That game 2 months ago could have been extremely boring, 0-0, very gritty. It was quite a low quality football match, I thought. A lot of people losing the ball all over the place. And it could have just been pretty turgid stuff. But actually, it was quite a sort of free-flowing, entertaining game. You felt like, even at 1-0 down, it was like, we will create something and have a moment to try and get back into this game. So just being able to be there, feeling like we're going to have a chance to even score a goal in front of that number of fans and then go and get a good result, all of that is really positive heading into this little cluster of games we're going into.
I think all of that as well, it kind of speaks to It's something I hadn't really thought about, but like all good football teams, all good sports teams have got like an adaptability to them and an ability to grow and change. And you've seen that in the last couple of months. I mean, just literally flicking through the league fixtures just there when you were chatting, the last since that Barrow game, you're right, that is the kind of turning point, I guess. We've created so much, and the XG tells it. Like we've outperformed every single opponent on XG. We've like always been worth 2 goals at least. And that creativity, like that was a huge problem earlier on in the season. We knew what the narrative was. We're not even creating the chances to be able to score the goals. And for him to fix that problem, or somehow, the backroom staff or the players, they've managed to find a way. I think that's the thing that gives me huge optimism. The other thing, Tom, before we come on to, we're going to talk about the kind of focus point of not actually putting those chances away. But just before we go on to the specifics of the game, I wanted the other thing that I came out of yesterday with is, have you been impressed by anyone in League Two yet? Like, it just feels like another team where I go, I mean, MK got a ridiculous squad, no doubt. I mean, Patterson, Mendes Lang, the Alex Gilby, Aaron Collins comes off the bench. They've got a crazy squad for the level, but were you particularly impressed by them in any way?
Not particularly. Maybe I'm judging them more harshly because like the expectation is so high with MK Dons because of the players they've got available to them. But Barnet were pretty tidy, I thought.
Yeah, agree.
But that aside, I think one of the things that's been most surprising this season, really, I think, is like it's obviously going to be a lower standard than League One because that's how the pyramid works. But I've been surprised by just how low the level is really across the division, and I sort of count us in that a little bit at times. Like we're inconsistent here and there, and we've obviously been guilty maybe on too many occasions this season of putting in poor performances like at a Notts County or a Bristol Rovers away or something like that. But yeah, I mean it's also like a real opportunity, isn't it? Because it does feel like quietly we're sort of making quite good progress in a lot of ways. And you go to January and you think, can we just plug one or two of the holes that we've got? And all of a sudden, I think the needle moves from, could you challenge to get into the top 7 to like a top 3 spot should be like well in sight. The caveat to that is that there's probably 14 other teams in the league that are saying exactly the same thing. So that's what makes this league different, is that I think, or difficult, is that in a sense, is that I don't think the level's that high, but I think the level's pretty common. Like there's a lot of similar teams competing against each other, and that's why it's unpredictable, and that's why it always tends to be such a tight league, I think. But yeah, no one's blown me away yet, but I would say probably Barnet maybe are the ones that were tidiest.
Probably a shout out for Oldham as well, who are, not that they were like this free flowing brilliant team, but they did do a pretty good job on us that afternoon. But they're right down in 16th, 17th, I think, at the moment. All right, go on then. Let's touch on some little bits of the game itself. First half, as Caspell already touched on, the first half XG was 1.48 for us against 0.47. Somehow went in 1-0 down. We've spoken a lot about this creating chances thing and how we've kind of started to solve that problem a little bit. Caspell, did the wastefulness frustrate you again, though, after Tuesday?
I don't know that we were like overly wasteful, if you know what I mean. I think probably our most presentable opportunity, even though there's that like what's like on the line scramble. I actually
not quite sure how he doesn't score that, by the way.
Well, it just doesn't fall for him though, does he? I'm impressed he managed to get it wide, as in not on target.
The second one, because he has 2 shots.
Yeah, the second
right?
one. Yeah. So the first one I think he puts on target and is cleared off the line. And
yeah. It's the second one.
Good cover, and it's all a bit of a scramble. It's a mess, to be honest. Quite impressive to be in a stadium that's modern and that size and not have a fucking clue what is going on at the other end of the pitch as well, by the way. It's just looked like complete chaos up there. I think Knights is the one.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Again, I'm not going to like dig him out, criticize him, but if, these are the moments that any player needs to be grabbing, you want to see him score that. I think he's got to take it round keeper. He's obviously, he strikes it really early. It's a really good counter attack. I think it's Corey Smith who plays the ball, like perfectly weighted, sets him off. It's not like a gilt edge chance or anything. He's obviously done really well to get himself in the position to have the opportunity. A lot of other people just wouldn't have the pace or the sense to even be in, the bit of the pitch that he is. But I just think because of McGillivray comes charging out, if he just knocks it past him, like worst case scenario, he's getting fouled, red card. Like, do you know what I mean? Completely game-changing moment. Best case scenario, McGillivray is sliding off towards the halfway line. Knight's just rolling it into an empty net. So it's tough, isn't it? Because the thing is, if he scores that, if he just rolls that over McGillivray and it rolls in, you just think, oh, he's done perfect. So easy to say. Obviously, only got half a second to really think about it. But that for me was probably the moment. And you just feel like, based on how MK were yesterday, I feel like we could have just blocked out. And if we'd gone 1-0, I think we could have shut it out, because it's such a good sort of attribute of a Neil Harris team is we're very good at like closing these situations down. So I wouldn't say we were wasteful. To be honest, it again, keeping it positive, obviously manifest positivity, as our good friend Jack Swindle said on the preview, which I've messaged him about basically every day since. It's 2 months ago, if we'd have thought we were going to go there, create a load of chances and feel like hard done by to have got 1-1, then you'd have been really happy with that. So I'm feeling pretty positive.
I'd even actually kind of apply the similar sort of logic to Ben Knight's performance as a whole, who you see a lot of the more and more game time he's got, which I think we all wanted to see, and wanted to see him like kind of grow and like learn what I guess playing this level of professional football is about, which, like we said, a lot of times he hasn't done an awful lot of in like first team men's football outside of that loan at Crewe, I think it was, and obviously a little bit of time in Spain. For him, I mean, we were chatting about it on the way home, Caspell. There was that you can tell with Knight that he's got that a level of technique that is just like probably
100%,
way above
100%.
anyone else on the pitch. Probably the way you said it, really. There was a point in the first half, like a kind of inconsequential moment, where he's on the edge of the box and he's only running like, I don't know, 10 yards or something, but he takes like 6 or 7 touches.
It's like 10 touches, yeah. Honestly. His feet looked so good. It's exactly what we saw in that first game of the season. It's just
exactly
you just get the vibe just from looking at this guy. Even when you watch him warming up, you're like, this guy's technique is just like way higher, if you know what I mean.
And again, to manifest positivity, if like, he's had that one-on-one chance now, he'll probably look back on that and go, oh, maybe I could have done something different. And it's that sort of, that's what experience gives you, right? And the more exposure he's getting in these games, maybe he's one to like catch fire in the second half of the season. Because...
I would honestly would love it, any one of them. But yeah, like the thing is, after, his interview after he scored the pen against Crewe, which is obviously a really clutch moment, big moment for him and us. His interview is very endearing as well. Like, I do think the other thing that's sort of happening with this squad now, they become more likable, and I realize when the form is better and you're getting more results, like that will happen, obviously. But I do just feel like that was maybe, it felt a bit like it was missing earlier in the season, like just even personalities of players, if you know what I mean. Whereas now, just like, I don't know if it's the blend of youth, graduate, and first team players and stuff, but we used to talk about XV a lot last season, expected vibes. It just feels like the energy is good. Do you know what I mean? Maybe Swindle's had his crystals out or something. We get him to go and sage Shane Lavery's hamstring or something.
Don't say Swindle and Crystal in the same sentence. That's a very different thing. But yeah, you're right. And I think a lot of that comes with form and confidence in the side. And then there's a likability that goes both ways. And even yesterday, like, we've had so many terrible trips to MK. It's just another level of like, not winning us round or that, but sort of, I don't know what the word is, like the unity, or like everyone's kind of on board this with this squad. A player I wanted to pick out, Tom, is Jake Eastwood in goal. He had quite an interesting afternoon, I thought, especially just when I rewatched the highlights. He's nearly at fault for a goal first half that actually eventually ends up with a shot from outside the box from MK player that Job's deflection almost loops over him. He actually ends up making quite a good save. And then he made a brilliant save second half to Patterson, who's through on goal. We haven't really spoken too much about him recently, which I guess is a good thing if you're not, if a goalkeeper isn't your headline act one way or another. In general, how do you think he's done since he's been here?
Yeah, pretty well. Again, I think like you do judge against expectation, and with respect for the expectation for Eastwood was low-ish across the board. I mean, I guess in terms of the game at MK, like you're right. I think he rushes out for that situation in the first half quite quickly, and it's not really a problem with him coming for it, I think, as much. It's a really poor clearance. And then you're right, from there it's a bit of a mess. It's a bit of a hatchet job of a situation where, can Job come for the ball? Can he not? I don't really know. But yeah, he's forced into a really good save, and it's one of those where he's reacted really well to it as well, because I think the ball's changed direction. It's taken a little nick on the way through, and he obviously manages to tip it around the post. So makes obviously a good stop there. The one in the second half at 1-0 is clearly pivotal. If that goes 2-0 at that point, you probably do question, are we going to have enough about us to get back into the game, given everything we just talked about in terms of struggling to convert chances and struggling to put the ball in the back of the net consistently. So it's really important to stop there. And I guess just more generally, I think he's been very reliable, just like a really, really safe pair of hands recently. I think earlier in the season there were a couple of instances where we were talking about could he do better in certain moments. I think Colchester was one. It was one of the goals at Swindon as well. I seem to remember. But other than that, I think he's been very, very steady. I think he actually won the club's Player of the Month as well for
Yeah, he did.
for
Yeah.
November. So we nearly went through the entire month not conceding, right? So that says it all. But yeah, I think he's doing a fine job, to be honest. And yeah, pretty happy at the moment with him being in goal.
It's one of them things, isn't it? Like you say, I think pre-season it was probably one of those positions where we were like, have we really solved that problem? And I think he's probably answered those questions. There was that little period, maybe like a month ago. I think it was like around that Barnet game where I think he'd conceded 4 of the last 5 shots on target that the opposition had, which isn't a great stat, but I mean, doesn't take the context of those finishes into account. But I think the eye test, you see it's far from an issue at the moment, is what I would say. Which, like you say, preseason expectations are probably a bit different. Then in the game, basically on half time, they punish us. Brilliant finish from Patterson. I guess that's the sort of quality you get from a player like that. I want to talk about like the way we lose the ball though, because this was something we were chatting about at half time, Tom. And Mayer loses the ball trying to play a pass. Feels like he's got space in front of him to run into. He tries to sort of play a pass square to Corey Smith. There's an MK player right in the way of it. It's not like it just sort of passes it straight to him. There's a lot for the lad to do. I'm not saying that Mayer's like gifted at him on the plate or anything like that. But it's more that we saw the trend a couple of times of players seemingly maybe tentative to run into space a little bit. I remember Kai having the ball a couple of times. There's grass in front of him and he's kind of looking for a pass rather than running into the space. This is one of those things that's like a bit easier said than done when you're watching the game and you're just going, just keep running, just skin him. Do you know what I mean? But in general, do you think there's a bit of an instruction from the manager, or do you think it's just an individual's thing, that there was a bit of a trend towards them wanting to play a pass rather than maybe carry the ball a bit further?
Yeah, I guess it has to be. So I think in the first half alone, it happened 3 times. I think. But yeah, like it's pretty much just as you say, really. Like, and yeah, like these things are easier said than done. Of course they are, but I'm thinking like if you're like Sully Kai, for example, and you pick up the ball and you've got like acres of space, that's surely like your dream scenario, right? Like that's got to be exactly what you want. And yeah, there was 3 pretty similar situations. One of them obviously led to us giving the ball away that led to their goal, where instead of sort of running forward, they pass sideways. And I know that's really like basic analysis of it, but that's kind of what happened. And yeah, I mean, I guess if it happens like loads and loads of times, then you probably do have to look at it maybe being more of an instruction. But I don't know, maybe it's just poor execution. But yeah, because at times like, it felt like we could break away, or maybe like if it's Sully Kai, you obviously prove later in the game if he can get into a decent area around the edge of the box, he's maybe opens up an opportunity for himself to shoot. So it feels like a little bit of a kind of waste opportunity in those situations, to be honest. But yeah, it was just one of those things that you just noted, like that's happened like 3 or 4 times now.
Yeah. There was 2 amazing moments yesterday I got to speak about when just mentioning Mayer, me and Tom, we both did the exact same thing at different bits of the game. Caspell would remember this, when in the first half Mayer's like running back, he does really well defensively, like gets in front of the man, turns out, and I think I said out loud, "God, he is absolutely brilliant, isn't he?" And then he runs out of play with the ball.
Oh yeah, just straight off the side of the pitch.
Yeah.
It's like a computer game glitch or something.
And then in the second half, I stood next to you, Tom, and a similar thing. I think he like won the ball back, and then like it really did really well defensively. Like turned away from the man, and you went, "God, he's world class." And then he just passed it straight to an MK player. It was absolutely.
Yeah, I was like, "Cool, Adam Mayer, he's a touch of class."
Yeah. Brilliant.
Basically, Walker, you should just spend your entire time at games in the concourse. That's it.
Eating burgers. Or cardboard or whatever it was. So yeah, second half then. Let's talk about. I mean, we've mentioned Kai now. Let's talk about the goal, Caspell. He showed a threat all afternoon. I thought Kai, but what brilliant finish that is, isn't it?
Oh, it's just so good. Also, just the away end angle of it was
Perfect.
perfect. I feel like everyone in that away end will have had a really good view of that because as soon as he hit it, you were like, oh.
Yeah. Well, I was convinced it got a deflection. Massively wrong.
Nah,
Like,
no,
I thought he'd absolutely spooned it.
and Tom thought he'd spooned it. Yeah.
no. I thought it was just really good, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was
Like,
brilliant.
I think the thing that makes it is how early he takes it. And again, I sound like a complete hypocrite now. Like, bed night, don't go so early. Sonny Kai. Good job for going so early, if you know what I mean. Just think he catches everyone unaware because the ball doesn't even go like, it's not like it goes completely in the top corner. I just think he creates half a yard, just does a little like pirouette thing, finds half a yard of space and just bangs a shot away. And again, I just think it's something that we wouldn't necessarily have done a few months ago. Just feel like the narrative from Harris has obviously changed around, do it, have a shot. Don't be afraid to try it. If you get yourself an opportunity, like have a pop. Basically, is exactly what he's done. His technique is really good, Kai anyway. It's a really good finish. I think the fact that it comes from behind the defenders makes it pretty tough for keeper, which is why he's managed to get it in. No, just great, really, to be honest. And yeah, I agree with you. I thought he was pretty threatening. He's obviously dropped out first team action last few weeks, which has been an interesting bit of selection from Harris, because most of the time it's been McConnell basically getting the start instead.
I was going to ask you a question just on that exact bit, just on like the depth, because I've got two different questions on depth in two different positions. One kind of good, one bad. In those areas, if you think that like Kai's not even like a guaranteed starter, and he had a brilliant game yesterday, great finish. It's actually does it make another manifesting positivity? Does it make you feel hopeful for this really busy period that in those areas we've actually got a lot of options, a lot of different ways that we could play with Knight, McConnell, Kai, Brophy, Mayer. Like there's a lot of different options and ways that he can play in those areas.
Yeah, I just think it's the level of competition that you want and you need for a squad that if we want to challenge for playoffs or even automatics, this is exactly the kind of setup you want across, to be honest, all the departments. And I think we're starting to see it. Like, as an example, when Michael Morrison is back fit, it's not a clear, it's not a clear-cut case that he's necessarily going to come straight back into the first team. I'm not sure that he necessarily should at the moment because of how well that unit is playing. Obviously, centre mid, which I know I'm going to talk about in a minute, we're struggling for depth there at the moment. We're using it all up, basically, it looks like. But I think it's great to have this many attacking midfielders. I just think we need to take the blueprint, though, use January very well and try and create this sort of level of competition around, striking position as well. Because, pretty obvious to say that. We won't need to do a transfer window preview pod, will we? No. Everyone can see it now. We're creating more chances, which is great. The big distinction between the two teams yesterday and so many of the teams over the course of the season so far has been like the lack of actual having a striker. I think it's easy to say from that MK game, if we had their strikers, we'd have won the game like relatively easy. Probably same Chesterfield as like if we had a striker, you think we're going to win that game as well.
I think that's a really good point. We were talking about this yesterday, I think, on the way home. When you look at the top seven, every team there has got like a reliable out-and-out striker of like a really decent level. Like Walsall have got Carnu, Notts County have got Jatta, Swindon, that Drynan, who's caught fire this season, and Ollie Palmer. Bromley, Michael Cheek, MK Dons, you just said. Salford have got Danny Udo, Chesterfield have got that Lee Bonus. Like that, every single one of them has got like a kind of reliable, even just for game time, which is obviously the biggest thing that we're struggling with, just the sort of availability factor. And that, it's fair to say, is probably going to be the big difference, right?
We just got to sort it out in January. It's as simple as that. I'll tell you who is banging in a few goals in League Two, mate. Your friend of mine, Lofty. Mate.
Lofty. Well, he's 2-2 now, isn't he?
2-2.
Do we know, is the recall on us? I imagine it must be, right? We must be able to. I don't know.
That's not even, honestly.
You're talking about competition for places. I mean,
oh, jeez, yeah. That would be an interesting chapter if that did come to pass.
Yeah, I'm
A
not. I'm
sign
not sure
maybe
it's
the
the
transfer
answer.
window isn't going as well as we'd hoped it would.
Yeah, 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 yeah.
Potentially.
We
Yeah,
recall him like third week of January. That's a big sign that something's not
that's
gone
the
right.
big, yeah, that's the big sign, isn't it? Oh
Walker,
Lord.
what about centre mid to sort of flip that and talk about the depth there? Smith went off injured towards the end of the first half. Panzer didn't start the game as well, which is a bit of a surprise to me because I thought he'd kind of be an automatic starter. But now it is just Mpanzu and Hoddle as our two options until, well, I think McLaughlin's not too far away. And obviously we don't know about Smith if that's precautionary or not. But in general, is that the bit of the pitch that worries you going into what is obviously such a busy period from Accrington onwards?
Yeah, because it's right at the bare bones, isn't it now? No room for error, really. I think the good thing is that, generally speaking, Hoddle's been pretty good and pretty reliable. Not sure the game at MK was necessarily his best performance for us, but tricky opponent and whatnot. So the good thing is that the options that we do have available, I'm fairly confident in. And obviously, Pelly's someone we've spoken about a lot and clearly has a lot of quality for this level. But it's just numbers. It's just numbers, and you think of someone like Hoddle, like if he has a couple of ropey games or a couple of below par performances, you'd love to have the options to sort of take him out the firing line. But we don't have that. Obviously, if Pelly Rodden picks up a knock or something, you got a real problem on your hands there. 'Cause, if Smith's injury is an injury, and as you say, if it's not a precaution and it's something more serious, then you don't have another senior option. So yeah, I mean, it's just a numerical thing, isn't it? Really, I think that's the area of the pitch where we just don't have any room for error or room for issues. So yeah, that's probably it.
Who's your shout for if Accrington? Let's say Mpanzu goes down injured. Who's your shout in the squad who's going to fill in centre mid? Because I know yours is Caspell, I imagine.
Oh yeah, well, Brophy or May, I think either of them could do it.
May is an interesting one, I think.
There's also a world if and when Morrison's not fit.
I know what you're going to say.
Back and you shift Kel Watts in there or something.
I thought you might shift Job in there because I think
I'd put Job up top. I would. I think he's world class. I think he's our 20 goal a season striker. That's going to take them a while to figure it out.
I think you actually said to me yesterday that Job is probably our best player in every single position, including goalkeeper.
Well, no, but answer this: if you were going to have a team of 11, if you could take any one of our players and you have to have 11 of them, who would you pick?
It's got to be Job. Yeah,
what
hasn't
a guy.
Yeah. Or Loft. Can I have Loft?
Don't. Mate. Be fun to watch.
So anyway, that's the game. We've kind of agreed that it's probably point gained on the wider context, but maybe a bit frustrating we didn't win one of the two. Trying to take a sort of view out from that. That's now 10 unbeaten in all competitions, sitting 9th, 1 point off the playoffs, 6 off the autos at the moment. Tom, are you starting to see us sort of click into gear a bit as a side?
Yeah, I think cautious optimism probably. Look, we had a really good November, and I think the talk that we had, I think it might have been the last time I was on actually, was look, December's going to be a really testing month because of the quality of opposition that we play, the amount of games that there are. Obviously, the situation with injuries at the time, we were just referring basically to strikers, and now that's obviously moved a little bit further down the pitch as well. So, loads to contend with. And if you come through December into the January window where you imagine we will look to strengthen, and you're still in reasonable shape, like we'll lose a game at some point. Like, I don't imagine the unbeaten run's going to go on forever, but like it really does open up what's possible. I think in the sort of remainder of the season. So yeah, I think cautiously optimistic. I'd say. I still think. Look, we've been better recently, and we've been better against better opposition, like Chesterfield, and like I guess you can, I'll chuck Crew in there as well. Pretty good for half an hour, and obviously the performance at MK was pretty decent. It's still like a handful of performance, isn't it? Like we're on a decent unbeaten run. Obviously, we go away to Barrow and beat a side of just sat their manager, obviously not doing very well at all. And obviously in there's one or two other results as well. But for me, you just want to see it maintained throughout December. And if we come to the end of this month and we're still in good shape, then I think it's really on, basically. Yeah. So, yes, but more, please.
the lads will talk about this on the preview pod, but of these, let's take this festive period being Accrington at home, Gillingham away, Chesterfield away, Walsall at home, and Grimsby at home. From those five, how many points? What do you think par is from those points? From those games, I mean, sorry.
Par, what can we live with?
Well, you've got to beat Accrington, no question.
Everyone seems to think that, yeah.
But we do need to, like that.
I know. I think we do need to think that. Yeah. The thing is, I was saying this to you yesterday before the game, having just played Chesterfield, where that game felt quite intimidating. The trip up there just doesn't feel very intimidating anymore. Like, I think they're very beatable based on how we played against them. Like, there's an alternate universe where we win that game like 3 or 4-0. Obviously, it's not a universe we're ever going to have with Harris, I don't think. If you know what I mean. What's par? You beat Accrington. You probably take a point from one of those 2 away games. Not as bad as that sounds. I just think Tom's right. Like, we will lose one of these. We've got to lose one of these football matches at some point, you would assume. But let's just say, so you take 4 from those 3. You've got to beat
Grimsby, I think. Yeah, you've got to, I think Grimsby aren't like great shakes. Like they lost at home to Notts County yesterday, but they also were held at Shrewsbury in the week. Also were held by Shrewsbury yesterday, to be fair to them. So I'm going
to say 8, but 7 is like permissible given all the injury problems we've got, knowing that we're heading into January. For Grimsby, I'm just hoping Neil Harris is going to hang around that tunnel for a while and just see if he can stir stuff up again like he did in the away game, mate. Just intimidate.
It's like lobbing water bottles. Just leave like a pack of Evian or something there.
That's it. Or Carabao. You get great discount on bulk buy Carabao.
Isn't Carabao sold in cans?
That's
real damage.
Then it becomes a sort of projectile, a missile, something that you can't be chucking. What about you, Tom? 7 or 8, or do you think we should be looking at more?
Don't say 15.
That really is manifesting positivity. That fair credit. Not 15. I'll stick my neck out and say I'm not sure we're going to win all of our next 5 games. I mean, it's set up to be like the most Cambridge United thing of all time. I mean, you look at the run of the next 5 games, and I mean, Accrington's the one on there that screams out as like just must win. So we'll have 3 from that. I probably agree with Caspell. You probably get 1 from Gillingham, Chesterfield, and then 4 from Grimsby and Walsall. So what's that? 8.
Yeah, 8 seems about right. I hadn't quite looked at. I mean, this is definitely one for a future preview pod, but I hadn't quite clocked Gillingham's form is like pretty terrible. I mean, since the 20th of September, the only teams they've beaten are Newport and Bristol Rovers, who are 2 of the worst sides in the league. They haven't won a single other game, and they're 5 without a win, drawn all 5 of their last 5, which screams Ainsworth. Ainsworth versus Harris on Boxing Day, playing out of sort of gritty 0-0 in the pissing rain. No one can be asked.
Open stand as well.
Yeah. Oh.
You'll still be on your lasagna high, mate. Surely.
Yeah.
It's not
the leftover ragu, mate.
Not lasagna again, mate. Is it?
No, not this year. I'm going to the Old Spring for my Christmas lunch. Genuinely.
Oh,
me and my family. So
Christmas skepasti.
Christmas skepasti. It's just what everyone wanted.
That's great.
Obviously, that's a perfect segue into our wonderful sponsors, the Old Spring. I'll be enjoying 10% off anytime, I imagine. I don't know if they're going to do that on Christmas Day with my season ticket. But, you've got Saturday happy hour, 6 till 7 p.m, half price beers every single Saturday, and the Matchday Meal Deal, £15 for either a burger, fish and chips, or a world famous skepasti plus any beer.
To talk about skepasti, so you call a burger,
fish and chipsy. And, I think that probably has said that we've had enough for today. Tom, thanks very much.
Sorry, just very quickly, I've had enough.
Okay, sorry.
Look, we're done when
I've had enough.
Done, okay.
I'm intrigued to know, is there like a skepasti sort of Christmas option? Like in supermarkets, you get the sort of Christmas sandwiches.
Oh yeah.
Oh, like it's like a sort of cranberry.
Yeah.
Cranberry.
Yeah. No, that's a great idea though. No, I'm having.
Or is that like some sort of like cultural appropriation? I guess.
Yeah, it might be.
Yeah.
That's sort of fusion, isn't it? That's what they're called, like sort of English Greek fusion. Anything else, or are we
done? No. That was it.
Can we finish now, Tom? Is that right?
Yeah, that's fine. Yeah, that's fine. No problem at all.
Let's all go home. Thanks, lads.